Is Star Citizen worth it in 2025? That question hits my comment section at least once a week. Sometimes it's honest curiosity, sometimes it's bait, and sometimes it's just someone hoping I'll validate their buyer's remorse. And look, I get it. There's a lot of noise out there. There's been over a decade of videos and hit pieces ranging from dead game and the next big thing, major scam, money grab, and everything in between. You didn't click on this for a corporate pitch or some rage bait rant. You came here for the truth, or at least my version of it. Like a dead Jedi once said, many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view. And after nearly a decade of playing and closely following this game, oh yeah, I've got some perspective. Now, normally I'd lace this with cinematic footage to keep things visually spicy, but for this one, I'm using my own gameplay. Real clips, real moments, except for the next section, and you'll see why. First, we should address why Star Citizen has taken this long to become the game it is today. It's a complicated answer with a lot of layers. I believe CIG burned a solid 4 years after the Kickstarter just trying to figure itself out, getting a company built, settling on the game's direction, and staffing up with the right people. That's 100% on Chris Roberts and the leadership of Cloud Imperium Games. But after that, sure there were stumbles, but the real time sink is Squadron 42. Originally pitched as a straightforward single-player lead-in to Star Citizen, it ballooned into a full-scale cinematic epic with an A-list cast, including Mark Hamill, Gillian Anderson, Gary Oldman, and a dozen others. It's as ambitious as Star Citizen itself, pushing tech and storytelling to make you feel like you're in a sci-fi film, not just playing one. And here's the deal. Squadron 42 is CRG's make-or-break moment. They've raised too much money, made too many promises to survive a stumble out of the gate. If you're familiar with the history of CD Projekt Red, you'll know Squadron 42 can't be their Witcher 1. It has to be their Witcher 3. CD Projekt Red had the luxury of failing upward. CIG doesn't. The expectations are skyscraper high, and if Squadron 42 doesn't land, I don't think the goodwill from crowdfunding will be enough to save them. That's the only real obstacle left to get the game over the finish line. They know it too. That's why Star Citizen's progress stalled for years, because most of the studio's over 1,000 employees were working on Squadron. That massive system investment will eventually pay off for Star Citizen, but it's been a long wait for people wanting more than just promises. When they finally showed off Chapter 1 of Squadron 42 at CitizenCon, it all started to make sense. That's one chapter out of over 30. And from my perspective, it looked incredible. I'm going to make a separate video about this. As I wrote the script, I realized it really needs its own topic, so get subscribed so you don't miss it. With that perspective, let's dive in. Let's talk about what it's actually like to play Star Citizen in 2025. Let's start with the obvious. It's still not finished. The dream, the roadmap, the ever-elusive 1.0 release? Not here yet. So you still can't own a farm and retire in peace on Terra or Castra like Mando did. So if you're expecting a complete MMO with a traditional endgame loop and fully realized systems, no, not quite. But here's the thing. The game has never been more playable, more fun, or more engaging than it is right now. And that's what people miss when they zoom out too far. Star Citizen 2025 is not the final product, but it's no longer just a tech demo. It's a real game. A messy, chaotic, sometimes broken, but always beautiful game. I have friends that play it daily as their main game. And this year, it crossed a major milestone. Server meshing is in. Pyro is open. Jump gates are real. We're finally starting to feel the scale this game always promised. The universe just got a whole lot bigger. It's connected in ways that weren't possible before with tech that many detractors said was completely impossible to create. Since December 2024, we've seen a real shift in how features are delivered, as those developers that were focused on Squadron have transitioned to working on Star Citizen. Monthly patches, actual polish, missions that work, usually. Ground vehicles that might have a purpose now. Salvage is a real job, cargo hauling is less of a meme and more of a profession. Dynamic weather featuring rain and those ship-disabling radiation storms, massive for immersion in a world that feels alive. When I log in, I don't feel like I'm entering an empty sandbox anymore. I feel like I'm walking into a weird, gritty space opera where I can pick my own rule and just go. That's a huge change from a few years ago. Monumental even. Let's not ignore how beautiful this game is. Like, unfairly beautiful. There are moments in Star Citizen just flying over a moon at sunset, or landing in a grime-soaked outpost on Pyro 4, where it hits you. No other game looks like this. Period. Not Elite Dangerous, not EVE Online, and certainly not No Man's Sky. Here's a real example. I had a stream the other night where I decided to solo one of the new ASD facilities. And I don't say this lightly, it was some of the most memorable gameplay I've ever had in Star Citizen. I could feel the tension. Ships were circling the area like vultures, each one trying to slip in unnoticed or searching for players to vaporize. I was sneaking through the wastelands on foot, overheating because I brought the wrong armor. My vitals were redlining, trying not to pass out from heat stroke before I even got close. I managed to infiltrate the base, I dropped a player who never saw me coming, and just when I thought I might actually pull it off, another squad rolled in and smoked me. But it didn't even matter. That whole sequence? Absolutely unforgettable. That's the kind of emergent moment that reminds you why you're still here. I felt like I was infiltrating an Imperial base as a member of the Rebel Alliance. The whole time I kept telling myself, wow, this experience is real now. But moments like that only get you so far. Let's talk about stability. Here's the surprise. It's better. It's still not perfect. You'll crash. You'll lose missions due to bugs. You'll fall through a floor, get ragdolled into orbit because the elevator decided it didn't want to be an elevator anymore. But you also play for hours, complete contracts, maybe haul cargo, make money. There's a rhythm now. The game is playable in a way it just wasn't 2 years ago. It's not without headaches, but complete just enough to feel like tangible progress. The servers are usually able to recover from issues, and it's unlikely that you'll lose all your stuff due to an error now. It's a huge quality of life improvement. If you're sitting there thinking, okay, but haven't they raised over 800 million already? Yeah, let's talk about it. Ship sales are the elephant in the room, no doubt. One of the biggest hangups for people on the outside looking in is the monetization. Let's just call it what it is. Yes, they sell ships for real money to fund development. And yeah, technically you can drop $25,000 on a mega package if you've got a yacht parked out back and you hate money. That's the headline that gets clicks, and I believe that's why this game gets so much hate. But here's what nobody ever bothers to mention. You don't have to spend more than a basic starter pack. And honestly, I strongly recommend that you don't. The starter pack gives you everything you need to explore the verse. Run missions, dogfight, haul cargo, whatever path you want to chase. And now with free fly events, referral bonuses, and the ability to grind out ships in-game, it's actually possible to climb the ladder the old-fashioned way. That wasn't true years ago. Now it is. And that journey, that grind, it's satisfying. In fact, I'd argue it's more rewarding to look back on a hangar full of ships you earned for $45 and some elbow grease, rather than dropping half your paycheck in the pledge store. You don't need to buy a $500 gunboat. You don't need a fleet that could reenact the Battle of Endor. But if you want to, oh, they'll happily take your money. The real truth is that most players don't need anything more than 1 or 2 solid ships to experience the full gameplay loops. It's not about hoarding anymore, it's about focus, specialization. Last year I had 8 fighters in my hangar. 8. Why? Because I backed the game for 9 years and every ship sale was like window shopping during a midlife crisis. This was my hobby. But when I stepped back, I realized I don't fly 8 fighters. I fly maybe 2. So I melded the rest, banked the credit, and reinvested in ships that actually expand what I can do in game, like salvage, mining, and cargo ops. I got more gameplay options, more fun, and less clutter. Believe it or not, this game is not about the ships, it's about the people. Now let's talk about the Star Citizen community. Look, Star Citizen has one of the most passionate, talented, and occasionally deranged player bases in gaming. The game thrives in a group setting surrounded with good people. Solo players will still have a blast, but group play unlocks a whole nother level of fun. You'll find a group if you want one, you'll find a rule within the game. Whether you're into trading, bounty hunting, piracy, or just being a space trucker who listens to podcasts while flying to ArcCorp, there's a place for you here. And that's something most MMOs can't claim anymore. Now, does that mean it's all sunshine and quantum fuel? Absolutely not. CIG doesn't always stick the landing. Stuff like the Performance Blade debacle or the Banu Merchantman still being MIA a decade later, those are self-inflicted wounds. Tone-deaf moments that make even the die-hard backers wince. There are still big problems. Bugs can be real and nasty sometimes. Mission design can be shallow. PvP is unbalanced at the moment as critical systems like engineering and physicalized ship armor are missing. The flight model is changing. Again. There's still jank. There's still gameplay loops that are missing or incomplete. Some players exist here solely to grief you. There's a giant question mark about when, or possibly if, we'll see the release of the game due to the Squadron 42 uncertainty. Optimistically, we'll probably not see a 1.0 release until 2027, hell, maybe 2028. That timeline taxes even the most enthusiastic backers and is a running punchline with the haters. But here's where I land on it. Star Citizen is worth it if you know what you're getting into. It's not a traditional MMO. It's not a finished product. It's a living experiment that you get to be a part of. If you can roll with that, if you enjoy chaos, and if you've got a little imagination, you'll get your money's worth. Hell, for $45, there's not a game out there that has a better value even as it is today, warts and all. Not because the game is perfect, but because it isn't. Because it still feels like unexplored territory. For a lot of us old school backers, the magic was always in the theory crafting. Back when ships were just concept art and promises, we lived on imagination alone. Speculation was the gameplay loop, and dreaming up rules and systems was half the fun. Now, those ships are here. They exist. You can fly them, fight in them, break them. The dream is becoming real. And that's what makes it so damn frustrating. When one ship or system you've been waiting on for years finally arrives, but it's bugged, broken, or pushed back again, it stings. That pain you see in the comments, that's not hate. That's passion. We're this close to the game we always wanted, close enough to touch it. And when it slips out of reach again, yeah, it hurts. Star Citizen in 2025 is the best it's ever been. But it's also still unfinished, inconsistent, and can be frustrating. And at the same time, it's playable, it's fun, and it's full of stories waiting to happen. If you're still not sure, don't buy anything. Come hang out with me on a live stream. Wait for a free fly event so you can try it yourself with a starter ship and join a friend's crew. Just play it. If it isn't for you, at least you made up your own mind and you didn't let clickbait articles, Saudi ragebait YouTubers, and haters in the comments influence you. And if it grabs you, well, let it. There's something raw and real here. Chaotic, unfinished, unpredictable, but alive. And if you're ready to carve your name across the stars, welcome aboard. The captain's crew is always open to one more.